Good morning. I'm going to talk to you about the difference between similar and congruent triangles and also how to tell the difference when involving algebra. So this page involves algebra with similar and congruent triangles. Later, you'll watch a video on how to prove they're similar or congruent and the ways that you do that. So the most important thing at this point is to just summarize again what congruent means. Congruent means that these triangles are exactly the same, 100% the same. They have the same exact sides, the same exact angles. The parts that correspond to each other are the parts that kind of match. So like this side corresponds with that side. This side corresponds with that side. They're in the same position. That's what correspond means. And the angles correspond as well. Once you know the triangles are congruent, then you know that their corresponding parts are congruent. And this is where the algebra part comes in. In order to do algebra with these triangles, you have to know that they are congruent. On the other hand, they could be similar, which is the same shape but a different size. They're bigger or smaller by a scale factor, so they're growing at the same rate. Maybe one is 2 times as big as the other or a third as big as the other. And these are the symbol for congruent and what you will do. You'll set an equation. For similar, that's the symbol, and you'll write a proportion. Okay? So looking at this first example, this one is congruent because it has the congruent symbol. Remember, the congruency statement, the way these are written, actually tells you about the sides, which ones match together. So I'm going to color code or put little dashes on these sides, to show what this says. So it says that side ST corresponds with BF and TW corresponds with FN and SW corresponds with BN. Okay. We can also do the same thing with the angles. So angle S corresponds with angle B. Angle T corresponds with F. Angle W corresponds with angle N. And hopefully that's more of a review than it is something new. All right, so now we're going to look at what it's asking for. BN right here, well, that corresponds with WS, so we know that has to be 9. TW goes with FN, so that has to be 14. We're just using the same number because these are congruent. BF goes with TS, so that's 17. I hope you can see how that works. Angle W corresponds with angle N, so 82 degrees. Angle B corresponds with angle S, so 67 degrees. Angle F corresponds with angle T, but we don't have any numbers there. However, I'm just going to transfer some stuff over. We know that this angle S went with B, so I'm going to put 67 here. And how many degrees are in a triangle? Hopefully your brain said 180. So we're going to add up what we have, 67 plus 82. That's 149. 67 plus 82 equals 149. And we're going to subtract that from 180. And that equals 31 degrees. So this is how it works when we're talking about congruency. Corresponding parts are congruent. This one says the figures are similar with a scale factor of 2 to 3, and we need to find the value of x. Well, this is obviously the smaller one, and this is the bigger one. So if our scale factor is 2 to 3, we need to set up a proportion. 2 over 3, small over big, equals small, 42, over big, x. Okay, do you see the difference? These are equal, these are proportional. Then we need to solve the proportion, so we're going to cross multiply 42 times 3. I'm going to write it over here because I didn't leave myself some space. 126 equals 2 times x, 2x. Divide both sides by 2, so 63 equals x. Okay. This symbol means similar. So we need to set up a proportion. We're talking about sides, not angles. And I'm going to color code again the sides that match based on our similarity statement. AB corresponds with DE. BC corresponds with EF. And AC corresponds with DF. Okay, so we need to set up a proportion. So as soon as you see that and you know you're solving, you should set up a proportion. And now we're going to fill it in. So we know we're going to need X, which is on AB, and by color, that goes with DE. We can also tell from up here how we did it. So X over 25. This is the big over the small, so we got to make sure we keep doing that. And we use the other number, 28, over the small side, corresponding small side, 20. Okay, cross multiply. So we have 25 times 28 is 700 equals cross multiply 20x. We'll divide both sides by 20. So x equals 35. Okay. Proportion because they are similar. Proportion because they're similar. But this one is congruent. When they're congruent, you're using equal signs. We can mark these up. UV goes with TS. VW goes with SR. UW goes with TR. And now we can set up equations for anything we need to find. So here's x over here, so we can do 12x minus 7, and we need to look over at the other triangle for the corresponding part. We marked them both with 1, so 12x minus 7 equals 53. That will give us x. And then we need to solve that. 12x equals 60. And this part is just algebra, which you guys should be good at this point. Okay? To find y, we're going to locate where y is, 5y minus 33, and go to its corresponding side, also marked with 2, 57. Solve that. So we have 5y equals 90, I think. And then divide by 5. Okay, and the same exact process to find z. z, 3z plus 14 is on the side marked with 3 dashes, so that has to be equal to the other corresponding side with 3 dashes, and then we can solve. I would pause the video every time we solve just to practice your algebra. I know I write fast, but that's because this part should be a review. And z equals 12. So when they're congruent, you're setting up equations. Okay? All right, let's look at the bottom 4. I have a feeling this 10-minute video will run out, so if we have to continue on to another one, that's fine. AGM is similar to x or KXD. Since in similar, we go with a proportion. I'm going to write the proportion bars to begin with. I am going to color code. As you get better at this, you're not going to need to do it as much, but it helps me keep it organized. AG goes with KX from our similarity statement. GM goes with XD from our similarity statement. And if you really look at it, we don't need to write the other side or color code those because they don't have anything on them. All right, so I'm going to set up a proportion, 32 over x plus 3. Those are corresponding sides. Equals, since I used the bigger triangle on top, I'm going to continue with the bigger triangle on top. 36 over x plus 6. Corresponding parts. And then we're going to cross multiply. Remember 36 parentheses x plus 3, so you don't forget to distribute.